Master Mage, Season 1, Episode 16. That was a very beautiful day. The sky was very clear. At dusk, Fang had been awakened by a horrible scream. Fang was drowsy and tried to open his eyes. He tried to stay focusing who was the one screaming that early. Eventually, Fang got startled once realizing that was Yan. Without a hesitation, Fang ran outside. Even he didn't know what was happening, but Yan was screaming. That's definitely not a good thing. Fang ran out and saw Yan was using a basket to cover her body. Seeing the panic Yan, Fang got worried sick. He came closer to the girl and asked what happened to her. Seeing Fang there, Yan quickly ran and hid after his back. She faltered, was unable to speak up clearly, then pointed towards the ground. Fang looked after the direction she pointed. At that moment, there were countless dead insects on the ground. Just by looking, Fang got itchy all over his body. That was so understandable why Yan had to scream out aloud earlier. While in a panic and wondering why those insects died just in one night around the house, Master Jackie had stepped out from the bedroom after hearing Yan's screams. He was in a panic as well, just like Fang. He knelt down to check out those insects. After contemplating the situation, Master Jackie furrowed his eyebrows. Then, he picked up some of the dead insects and watched them carefully. He learned that the insects were of multiple kinds. Most of them were poisonous insects. There were even life-threatening poisonous ones. Seeing the master was serious for a while, Fang curiously asked him what the situation was. Master Jackie replied that those insects had died and dried already just a night, which was impossible and hard to understand. Master Jackie dusted off the insects in his hands and continued. He assured that someone must have used the insects' recall magic, but he could not guess who that one was. He told Fang not to go outside often within 2 days later. Then, the Great Master left to check the place. He also asked Fang to clean up the yard full of insect bodies. After seeing the Great Master left, Fang didn't rush to clean up the yard first. He came closer to Yan and asked after the girl. Yan was able to pull herself back at the moment thanks to Fang and Master Jackie's presence. Yan tended to reply to Fang that she was fine, but she realized something and dragged Fang out. She talked in a hurry that the little dog they had brought home the day earlier was sick. Yan pulled Fang to the room and checked the dog that was likely not to move anymore. Yan continued that she saw the little dog was like that from the moment she had woken up. Fang lightly picked up the dog and tried to examine the heartbeats and the breath, but he felt the cold once he touched the dog. Fang lowered his voice and comforted Yan that he knew Yan was caring for the dog, but the poor dog could not make it out of the wood. The body was cold already. All they could do at the moment was burying the dog. Yan was unable to accept that the dog was dead already. Her eyes shed tears. She blamed herself for not taking good care of the dog. She was not a responsible girl. Fang had never seen a crying girl before him. He got no word to comfort Yan. He recalled something out of a sudden. Last night, he had read the book he had taken from Jin. A page indicated how to bring a dead animal or people back to life. Seeing the tearful Yan, he decided to try that method to save the dog. He had no idea if the book's methods could work, but he assured Yan that he would cure the dog. Hearing the determined Fang, Yan's face turned to be happy. She knew that Master Jackie was mighty and very talented. Fang had followed and trained with the Great Master for such a long amount of time. He must have learned some kind of magic to cure the little dog. Fang said that he needed to prepare some stuff. He quickly ran back to his room and pulled out the book from his blanket. He opened and found the page he wanted to see. At that moment, the sleepy Sam got awakened and asked what Fang was looking for. didn't give the little boy a proper explanation. Fang replied that he wanted Sam's help preparing a recall soul magic he was supposed to do. And then got back to the book. He tried to understand the difficult words written inside the book. The little boy was still confusing. He wanted to ask Fang in detail, but seeing Fang was focusing on the book, he could not speak up. Once Fang put down the book, Sam tended to ask, but Fang had run outside already. The little Sam rubbed his eyes to be awake. He wondered what Fang was supposed to recall, then straightened up. He had never seen Fang in that such zealous. He guessed that might be because of Yan. Sam had learned from the great master what was needed for a sacrifice. He quickly came to help Fang. They brought out a table to the yard. On the table, they put a bell, some the talismans, rice, the wooden sword, and some other necessary stuff. Fang wore the exorcist clothes of his master. After checking everything carefully, Fang told Sam and Yan to step back. He was about to start the sacrifice. Fang came in front of the table, grabbed a little rice in his fist, and tossed it into the air. He was step by step following the instruction from the book. He mumbled something which Yan and Sam barely understood. Fang was very determined. He tried to focus on the chants. His right hand rang the bell while the left hand tightly held the talismans. He looked very professional. He was confident that the sacrifice was going to be successful. I'm doing a series about magicians. After reading the spells, as the book said, Fang held the talismans on the table and walked towards the dog. He put the talismans around the dog's dead body. Those in ordered talisman gave him more confidence about the method he was using. Next, Fang put the bell down and put up the wooden sword. He continued to spell the chants in the book, which he had learned before starting the sacrifice. When he reached the final incantation, Fang shouted, "Hey!" and jumped up high over the table. He safely landed on the ground. And once again, he walked towards the dog's body. Fang walked around the dog and continued the incantations. He walked faster and faster. Out of nowhere, a breeze flew by, and to the dog's position. Shortly, the wind covered around the dog. Seeing that the wind was recalled successfully, Fang got more confident to recall the dog's soul. He was hoping that the dog's soul was not left too far, since he could not save the dog if its soul stepped beyond the door of hell. Finishing the spells, Fang moved the sword around and pointed towards the dead dog, then yelled out that retrieve. At that moment, the little dog's body had started to change. There was some dark vibe covered around the dog. People could feel the cold breeze from afar. Then the dark wind had started. They flew around and up to Yan and Sam's places as well. The two of them were unable to see anything in front of them. Fang stepped some steps back and got back to the sacrifice table. He asked Yan and Sam if they were okay. Sam didn't reply. He had highly focused on the little dog. Seeing the dark spirits around the dog, he worriedly asked Fang if the dog would return to life. Fang got a little confused in front of Sam's question. He was also uncertain with the method. Who knows what could happen? Fang faltered and replied to the little boy that the dog was probably still alive.